If you are looking for OCI certification, then you are at right place. Myself, Oracle, AWS and Azure Certified Associate and Microsoft Certified Trainer. In this channel, I am publishing all types of cloud certification videos, job interview questions and many more content to upskill your IT career. So if you are interested in this topic, please subscribe the channel so that you would get more free resources like this. Question 1. An Oracle Cloud infrastructure is placed in front of an application. The load balancer is distributing the traffic to backend web servers via round-robin policy. You have noticed one of the web servers is receiving more traffic than other web servers. What steps you will take to ensure traffic will evenly distribute across all backend web servers? And the options are A. Disable cookie-based session persistence on your backend set. B. Change keep alive settings between the load balancer and backend server. C. Disable SSL configuration associated with your backend set. And D. Create separate listener for each backend web server. Session persistence is a method to direct all requests originating from a single logical client to a single backend web server. You enable session persistence when you create a load balancer or when you create a backend set. You can also edit an existing backend set to enable, disable or change the session persistence configuration. So option A is correct. The load balancing service does not honor keep alive settings from backend servers. The load balancer closes backend server connections that are idle for more than 300 seconds. So option B is incorrect. Disabling SSL configuration have no relation with traffic distribution. So option C is also incorrect. Creating separate listeners means assigning different ports to the servers. Also, you won't have any control on the incoming traffic in your ports. So option D is also incorrect. So the correct option for question 1 is option A. Question 2. You deployed an Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Compute Instance VM Standard 2.16 to run a SQL database. After 2 weeks, you increased disk performance by using NVMe disk but kept the same number of OCPUs. At first, you terminate the instance and preserve the boot volume. What is the next step? And the options are A. Create a new instance using a VM standard 1.6 shape using the preserved boot volume and move the SQL database to a NVMe disks. B. Create a new instance using a VM dense IO 2.8 shape using preserved boot volume and move the SQL database data to NVMe disks. C. Create a new instance using VM dense IO 2.16 shape using the preserved boot volume and move the SQL database data to block volume. And D. Create a new instance using a VM dense IO 2.16 shape using the preserved boot volume and move the SQL database data to NVMe disk. Let's analyze the options. To increase disk performance by using NVMe disk, you need to use dense IO shape. You can refer this Oracle documentation page to see each type of dense IO shape have how many OCPU. For example, VM dense IO 2.8 have 8 OCPU and VM dense IO 2.16 have 16 APU. You can remember a small trick like after 2 point is the OCPU number. Option A is using VM standard 1.6. But to increase disk performance, we need dense IO shape. So option A is incorrect. In option B, we are using VM dense IO 2.8 means 8 CPU. As in the question, it is clearly mentioned we need to keep the CPU number same. So previously it was VM standard 2.16 and in VM standard 2.16 CPU is 16. So we can't decrease the CPU. So we can't use VM dense IO 2.8. So this is also incorrect. In option C, we are using VM dense IO 2.16 but moving SQL data to block volume. But performance wise it is lower than NVMe disk. So this is also incorrect. In option D, we are using VM dense IO 2.16 which should keep the CPU number same as 16 and also moving the SQL data to NVMe disk. So this is the optimal solution. So if you get question like this, read twice to identify what is existing solution and what is expected and also what settings you can change, what you can't. Question 3. An enterprise application consists of multiple storage volumes across multiple compute instances in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. The storage volumes include both boot volumes and block volumes for your data storage. You have asked to create backup of these storage volumes in most time efficient manner. How can you meet this requirement? And the options are A. Create clones of all boot volumes and block volumes once at a time. B. Create on-demand full backups of boot volumes and copy data in block volumes to object storage using OCI CLI. C. Create on-demand full backups of block volumes and create custom images from the boot volumes. And D. Group together multiple storage volumes in a volume group and create volume group backup. Whenever you are asked to perform a single operation on multiple volumes, think volume group. Before we proceed, let's see what volume group is and where it is required. The Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Block Volume Service provides you with the capability of group together multiple volumes in a volume group. A volume group can include both types of volumes, boot volumes, which are the system disk for your compute instances, and block volumes for your data storage. You can use volume groups to create volume group backups and clones that are point in time and crash consistent. Option A. Create clones of all boot volumes and block volumes once at a time. Option A. Create clones of all boot volumes and block volumes once at a time. When we can group both types of volume together, then why we will go with two steps once at a time? So this is incorrect. Option B. Create on-demand full backup of boot volumes and copy data in block volumes to object storage using OCI CLI. This is also two-step process, so incorrect. Option C. Create on-demand full backup of block volumes and create custom image from the boot volumes. Again two steps and complicated process, so incorrect. Option D. Group together multiple storage volumes in volume group and create volume group backups. This is the optimal process. When you can group both types of volume in volume group, then why we will go with two steps and complicated process? So option D is correct. So the correct option for question 3 is option D. Question 4. A new employee recently joined in your team. You have created an Oracle Cloud Infrastructure user account with which employee able to log in, but still cannot create any resources. What should you do to mitigate the issue? And the options are A. Send the employee API signing key to login. B. Delete the account and create another one. C. Make sure that the employee is logging in to the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure account from your corporate network only. And D. Add the employee to a group with policies to grant access to relevant resources. Whenever you will create any new user account, you have to assign some policy to the user account, as by default everything is denied. As an administrator, you need to place user into the appropriate group depending on the compartment and resources they need to work with them. Option A. Send the employee API signing keys to login. Without assigning policy, nothing will work, so this is incorrect. Option B. Delete the account and create another one. Yes, you can do this, but problem will remain same, so this is incorrect. Option C. Make sure that the employee is logging into the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure account from your corporate network only. This is required for added security restriction, and it is also not mentioned in the question that the user is not accessing from corporate network. So this is also incorrect. Option D. Add the employee to a group with policies to grant access to relevant resources. This is correct. At first, you need to add the user to a group with policy so that user can access the relevant resources. So the correct option for question 4 is option D. Question 5. Which statement is true about Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Object Storage Service? And the options are A. An archive object storage tier bucket can be upgraded to the standard object storage tier. B. You cannot directly download an object from an archive object storage bucket. C. An existing standard object storage tier bucket can be downgraded to the archive object storage tier. And D. Data retrieval in archive object storage is instantaneous. Check few properties of archive storage. Unlike object storage, archive storage data retrieval is not instantaneous. An existing standard tier bucket cannot be changed to an archive tier bucket, and an existing archive tier bucket also cannot be changed to a standard tier bucket. That means you can't upgrade, you can't downgrade. To download an object from archive storage, you must first restore the object. So the four key properties of archive storage are: data retrieval is not instantaneous. Archive storage cannot be upgraded to the standard storage. Standard storage cannot be downgraded to archive storage. And you can't directly download object from archive storage. So option A is incorrect. You can't upgrade from archive storage to standard storage. Option B, you cannot directly download an object from an archive storage bucket. This is correct. First you need to restore before download, and that also will take around 1 hour. Option C is incorrect. We can't downgrade from standard to archive storage. Option D, data retrieval in archive storage is instantaneous. No, it is not. So incorrect choice. So the correct option for question 5 is option B. Which statement is not true about the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Object Storage Service? And the options are: A, object storage resource can be shared across tenancies. B, immutable option for data stored in object storage can be set via retention rules. C, object versioning is enabled at namespace level. And D, object lifecycle rules can be used to either archive or delete objects. Point to be noted, we need to select which is not, means false statement. Option A is valid statement, as you can copy or access using HTTP to copy data across tenancies. So incorrect choice. Option B is also valid statement. You can set retention rules to unmodified objects in bucket. So this is incorrect too. Option C, object versioning is enabled at namespace level. Object versioning is enabled at the bucket level. A bucket that is versioning enabled can have many versions of the object. There is always one latest version of the object and 0 or more previous versions. So option C is invalid statement because object versioning is enabled at bucket level, not namespace level. So this is correct. Option D is valid statement. This is basic principle for using object lifecycle. So incorrect choice. So correct option for question 6 is option C. Question 7. You have provisioned an autonomous data warehouse database with 16 enabled OCPUs and need to configure the consumer group for your application. Which two are true when deciding the number of sessions for each application? And the options are: A, the medium and low consumer group can run up to 16 concurrent SQL statements if high consumer group has 0 SQL statement. B, the high consumer group can run up to 16 concurrent SQL statements as long as medium and low consumer groups have 0 SQL statement. C, the medium consumer group can run 20 concurrent statements when high consumer group has 0 SQL statements. D, the high consumer group can run up to 16 concurrent SQL statements in addition to 32 concurrent SQL statements in medium and low consumer group each. And E, the high consumer group can run 3 concurrent SQL statements when medium consumer group has 0 SQL statement. For example, for an autonomous data warehouse with 16 OCPU, the high consumer group will be able to run 3 concurrent SQL statements when medium consumer group is not running any statement. Similarly, the medium consumer group will be able to run 20 concurrent SQL statements when high consumer group is not running any SQL statements. Similarly, the low consumer group will be able to run 4800 concurrent SQL statements. Remember, the high consumer group can run at least one SQL statement when medium consumer group is also running statements. And when these concurrency levels are reached for a consumer group, new SQL statements in that consumer group will be quit until one or more running statements finish. Option A is incorrect, as medium consumer group will be able to run 20 concurrent SQL statements and low consumer group will be able to run 4800 concurrent SQL statements when other two are not running. Option B is also incorrect, as high consumer group can run up to 3 concurrent SQL statements. Option C is correct, as medium consumer group can run 20 concurrent SQL statements when high consumer group has 0 SQL statements. Option D is also wrong. Option E is correct, as high consumer group can run 3 concurrent SQL statements when medium consumer group has 0 SQL statement. Remember, high equal to 3, medium equal to 16 and low equal to 4800. If you can remember this, then you could easily answer any question of this type. So the correct options for question 7 are option C and E. Question 8. You have an application running on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. You identified that the read and write operations are slowing your application down enough to impair user access. The application is currently using VM standard 1.2 compute without any block storage attached to it. Which two options allow you to increase disk performance? And the options are A. Terminate the compute instance preserving the boot volume. Create a new compute instance using a VM dense IO shape using the boot volume preserved. B. Terminate the compute instance preserving the boot volume. Create a new compute instance using VM standard shape and attach a new block volume to host your application. C. Create a backup of the boot volume. Create a new compute instance using a VM dense IO shape and restore the backup. And D. Terminate the compute instance and create a backup of the boot volume. Create a new compute instance using VM dense IO shape and restore the backup. Let's analyze the options. You can permanently terminate or delete instances that you no longer need. By default, the instance boot volume is also deleted when you terminate the instance. However, you can preserve the boot volume associated with the instance so that you can attach it to a different instance as a data volume or use it to launch a new instance. You can use a boot volume backup to create an instance or you can attach it to another instance as a data volume. However, before you can use a boot volume backup, you need to restore it to a boot volume. Option A. Terminate the compute instance preserving the boot volume. Then create a new compute instance using a VM dense IO shape using the boot volume preserved. This will work. Before terminate, you need to take the backup of the boot volume. So this is correct. Option B. Although the first part, terminate the compute instance preserving the boot volume, is correct, but the second part, VM standard shape, is incorrect, as standard shape does not include SSD. Option C. First create a backup of the boot volume, then create a new compute instance using the VM dense IO shape and restore backup. This is correct. Option D. Terminate the compute instance and create backup of the boot volume. This is incorrect. If you terminate first without preserving boot volume, then after terminate you can't take backup. So the correct options for question 8 are option A and C. Question 9. A company currently using Microsoft Active Directory for its identity provider. They recently purchased Oracle Cloud Infrastructure to leverage the cloud platform for its development operations. As an administrator, you are asked to give access only to developers so that they can start creating resources in their OCI accounts. Which steps you will perform to achieve this requirement? And the options are A. Create a group for developers in OCI and map the group to a similar group in Microsoft Active Directory during the federation process. B. Federate all Microsoft Active Directory group with OCI to allow users to use their existing credentials. C. Create a new user account for each user and then create policies to provide access to developers. Now analyze the options. When working with your identity provider, your administrator defines groups and assign each user to one or more groups according to the type of access the user needs. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure also uses the same concept of groups in conjunction with IAM policies to define the types of access a user has. As part of setting up the relationship with the identity provider, your administrator can map each identity provider group to a similarly defined IAM group so that your company can reuse the identity provider group definition when authorizing user access to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So option A is correct. Option B is correct steps, but it will let everyone have access. So option A is more accurate than option B. So this is incorrect. Option C is not wrong, but is not the right way to do it. So incorrect. For the detailed steps, you can go through this documentation. I have mentioned all these documentation links in the video description, so you can easily find those out. Question 10. Your company decided to move a few applications to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure in US East region. You need to design a cloud-based disaster recovery solution with a requirement to deploy the DR resources in East-West region to minimize network latency. What would be the recommended deployment strategy? And the options are A. Deploy production and DR application in two separate virtual cloud networks, each in different region, and then use VCN local peering gateway for connectivity. B. Deploy production and DR application in two separate VCNs, each in different regions. Connect them using a VCN remote peering connection. C. Deploy production and DR applications in the same VCN. Create production subnet in one AD and DR subnet in another AD, assuming a multi-AD region. Now analyze the options. Option A. Deploy production and DR application in two separate virtual cloud networks, each in different region. This is correct. But if you deploy resources into different regions, then you can't use local peering. You have to use remote peering. So this is incorrect. Option B. Deploy production and DR application in two separate VCNs in each different regions. Yes, this satisfies the criteria of having two different regions for primary and standby, and you can connect both of them using VCN remote peering connection. So option B is correct. Option C. Deploy production and DR application in same VCN, create production subnet in one AD and DR subnet in another AD. This is also incorrect, as production and DR are in same region. You can refer this diagram to know how this will actually work when you will have production and DR into separate region. This diagram may be little bit complicated, but I hope you got the idea. So the correct option for question 10 is option B. Congratulations, we are at end of the video. Have discussed many questions which will help you in your exam preparation. Check other videos already available in this channel to get more questions. Hope you have learned a lot. So please like the video, subscribe the channel and share with others. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.